I just installed version 2 Light Harmonic carbon fiber speakers all around. Let's go check out the bass now. Welcome back to the channel, guys. So today I'm going to be installing new speakers in my Tesla Model 3. Now, if you've been following the channel for a while, you might remember a couple years ago, I installed an entire set of speakers from a company called Light Harmonic. These are all carbon fiber speakers, supremely better than what came with the Tesla, and they did make a big difference. They sound phenomenal. Well, Light Harmonic reached out to me again, and they've got a new updated version. These are version 2 of their carbon fiber speakers. So they sent me a new set. I'm gonna swap them out and see if I can tell a difference. So I've just been looking through here. These are what the speakers actually look like. They look similar to the version 1. The main difference though is the magnet is improved in the back. It's going to be hitting a little bit harder. They're just going to use less energy to do so. This kit also includes tweeters, where the version 1 did not have tweeters. So yeah, this is a pretty comprehensive kit. This is not going to be an install video. I've already made a video with version 1 and it's installed the exact same way. I'll put a link in the description above here so you can follow that because it's very detailed as far as how to take apart the car and replace the speakers. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. What I will show is the installation of the tweeters because that was not done in the previous video. So I'll make sure I catalog everything in the description where you can skip ahead to where you need to look. I'm gonna start with the tweeter install. It's gonna be the tweeter behind the door here. And this is what the upgraded version is. This is a Light Harmonic dome tweeter. It's gonna sound a lot better than the one that's in here. This is really easy to install, but there are a few little steps I need to show you, so let's take a look. There are a few little clips on the side here, one on the back and one right here. You just need to get a little pry tool just to get some leverage there to pop this up. Just like that. You'll see it kind of hangs on this hook here, right across this bar. And you'll just need to unplug the speaker wire. So I'm just going to use a small precision screwdriver. This is what the factory tweeter looks like. You'll see that it's held in with 3 little clips on either side here. This is pretty brittle plastic, so you need to be careful when you're prying this out. It's just held in there with pressure, so you just need to pop this tweeter out. Just be careful, and you should have no problems. This is a side-by-side comparison of the Light Harmonic and the factory Tesla speaker. You'll just see some of the materials that they're made out of and their differences. They're the exact same size physically. Here's the backs. So this is going to be a superior design. So I'm hoping this is going to sound phenomenal, but I'll let you know once these are installed. This is going to install the exact same way as the other one. So you just need to line it up and then just press it down into place. If you look here, there's a little line here that guides into that groove right there. So just kind of line it up and then push it down in. There. Next, we're going to connect the wiring harness. Goes in like that. You'll hear it click. And then you can just tuck some of this wire in out of the way. And just remember to hook this hook right here onto this bar that's on the back, and then everything else just clips down. Just make sure the wiring is not interfering with the clips. And that is it. I'm now gonna move around to the passenger side and do that side's tweeter. It's done the exact same way, so just follow the same steps and you'll have no problems. If you're only replacing the tweeters, then you do what I just showed you as far as reinstalling it there. But if you're gonna also replace the door speaker, then you don't need to put that tweeter in just yet. You can wait until the door panel's off because it is all attached here. This is where it's all corded up. So this is the version 1 Light Harmonic speaker. I just undid the clip here. So there are 4 bolts all around holding it in, and also these little clips. So you need to just kind of pry it out from those clips and then it will come out. Okay, these are the 2 door speakers. This one is version 1. You can see the construction of it. More importantly, you flip it over and there is the magnet. This is an improvement over the factory speaker. The factory speakers are made out of paper, which are fine. Paper is good. They're lightweight and they travel real easy because of their lightness. But carbon fiber is going to be more rigid, so it should be, more responsive. But yeah, so that's the magnet on version 1. This one is version 2. Looks very similar. So this all looks similar in construction. Rubber along the carbon fiber here, but let's take a look at the magnet on this one. So quite a bit larger. And just so you guys know, if you're not into car audio or just speakers in general, the bigger the magnet, there's a metal dome in there, and the magnet pulls back on it. And so anytime you're going to have bass response, the stronger the magnet, the more it pulls and more it can really work that speaker to make it move back and forth to push air. So that's just kind of a general rule of thumb. The bigger the magnet, the deeper and harder the bass hits. So that's why people are always looking at magnets on speakers. So this one is quite a bit bigger than this. So I'm hoping for a huge improvement in sound. All right, I've got everything installed back. So I just picked a bass heavy track. I'm gonna play it right now. You won't hear the audio because of copyright, but I will mute the audio here, but I'll just let you see the woofer move back and forth here. And again, we're gonna do the same thing on the passenger side. All right, the latest update is I've removed the A-pillar and the front speaker grill. These are the version 1 Light Harmonic speakers. So the difference with version 2 on these, yes, it is a better improved speaker on version 2, but you see this has an extra tweeter in the front for the front fill. And that is the factory Tesla tweeter. The version 1 Light Harmonic only came with the little woofers, but not this tweeter here. So that is the factory tweeter that we reused. The new version 2 has woofers and a tweeter, so we're going to replace all of them. Just wanted to reiterate how difficult it is to get to some of these little screws. That's why I've got this T20, it's a little Torx bit ratchet, because it just fits in there easier. You can't really get a full-size ratchet in there, so you need something small like this to get to these, especially the one, that's the most difficult one of all of them right there. But with a little patience, you can use something like this and that'll get it done. I've got another one that's even thinner than this one. I'll put links in the description if you're looking for tools. If you don't have the complete tools to do the job, I would recommend you get these as well. So yeah, so I just removed all 3 screws. This will just pop out now. And let's take a look at this speaker compared to version 2. All right, and these are going to be those mid-range speakers in the front dash. This is version 1. You can tell just looking at it that it's version 1 because it's got these recessed little areas in here. Version 2 does not. It's just a solid piece on the connection points. And that's how you can tell just by looking at the face of them if they're version 1 or version 2. But the big difference is going to be the magnet again on these. You see how small the magnet is. This is still a huge magnet compared to the factory speakers. So if you have factory speakers in your Tesla, even version 1 is an improvement for sure. But take a look at this. Oh God. This is massive compared to this. So let's flip these two over. Yeah, this one's gonna hit hard. This one still better than the factory speakers, but good God. One other thing to show is that the height is very similar because that is a pretty shallow dash that you gotta fit these speakers into, but it looks like the tray that the speaker cone sits in is higher on this one than this. It's lower. And that just gives it more room for a larger magnet. But yeah, they are about the same. This is a slight bit taller, but not by much. All right, so I just removed this mid-range woofer right here. This is where things are gonna be a little different on this install as opposed to last one because I also need to replace this guy, this little tweeter here. There are 2 bolts holding this in. So I need to go ahead and remove those. I think I'm gonna go ahead and do these both together. Let me go ahead and remove this just so I have room to work with all the wiring, and then I'll install both of the new pieces here. And here's a comparison of the factory Tesla and the Light Harmonic tweeter. You can actually see there is a Tesla logo on this. This is designed by Tesla. So that's what you get with the factory. And this is the Light Harmonic. One other thing that I find important to note is that I'm doing this install on a 2019 Model 3. So older cars are going to have that tweeter in the center dash. Some of the newer Model 3 and Model Ys do not have a center tweeter in the dashboard. That was a cost savings thing that Tesla recently did, but you don't have to worry about that because Light Harmonics does include a wiring harness that will tap into that center woofer, because you still have the woofer, just not the tweeter. So the kit comes with the tweeter. There is a hole in the dash where the tweeter goes in those newer cars that come without the tweeter. So you don't have to do any cutting, no modification, nothing. You just buy the kit and you can install that tweeter yourself in the factory hole and then just use this adapter to tap into the power from that woofer right next to it. And that way you don't have to worry about wiring harnesses and all that. So it is a complete kit. It's really good. So definitely look into that. Just a pro tip here, but the most difficult part about this entire project is going to be this little screw right there. And it's only because as you unscrew it or try to get it back started, you know, the screw raises up slightly as it's being unthreaded. So you get to a point where eventually you got to get this to fit between the top of the screw and the glass, and it's just not fitting. So my secret weapon is this little tool here. Now it doesn't ratchet like this guy, but it does fit, so you can get in there and get it off like that. So if you don't have one of these, you definitely need one of these. It just makes the job easier because you can ratchet them on and off real quick. And it is possible to get to that one, but what I had to do to get it off is I get it started with this, and then once it raises up to this level where it's too high, I just take this off and start using my fingers to unscrew it to remove the screw. But to get it started, it's a little bit more because I just put the new tweeter in, put the screw in, tried using my 2 fingers like this to like get it to turn, and I just can't get it to turn anymore. So I'm gonna use this one for a few turns just to get it started, and then once it's lowered down a little bit, I'll put the ratchet back on and tighten it up. All right, I've got everything put back together in the front. So everything as far as the front of the car is replaced. The doors, the side tweeters, the front mid-range, and the center tweeter there. All new hardware. The only thing left is the subwoofer and the rear tray speakers, which are the hardest to get to. So I saved them for last. And we're gonna do the subwoofer next. Again, if you wanna see detailed instructions on how to do all this, I'll put a link and you can see the original one of me installing version 1 of these speakers. That's really the best source for this. So I'm gonna go ahead and tear this apart and try to get the subwoofer out, and we'll just swap out with the other one and compare the two. All right, this is the subwoofer in the rear of the car. This is gonna be the version 1. You'll see this is version 2. The basket design is very similar. The main difference, again, it's going to be this magnet. This is a good size magnet on version 1. Much better than the factory from Tesla. But let's take a look at version 2. You'll see it is quite a bit larger. So again, basket size seems to be very similar in size, if not identical. The main thing I see, let's see here. Yeah, dual voice coil on both. It's just a bigger magnet on this one. And the last set of speakers are for the rear deck lid. That's the ones that are on this side and the ones over here as well. They are identical to those mid-range speakers that are in the front dash. I will say this, that these rear deck lid speakers are probably the most difficult to get to. It's not hard to do. It's not real fiddly like some of the other screws and things like that. It's just a lot of stuff you got to take out just to get to it, because you have to remove the entire deck lid out of the car and then peel off the wire mesh that surrounds it to put them in. Again, if you haven't seen my previous video on how to do all this, link is in the description up here. I highly encourage you to watch that. It goes through all the details, all the nuts and bolts of everything. I'm not going to film it this time just because it's very time consuming setting up camera angles and getting all the details just right. So I'm just going to go ahead and knock it out as quickly as I can just because I'm running out of time for the day. But yeah, I'm going to put these in, and that's going to add even more bass response to the rear deck lid. And this is the rear deck lid speaker. This is version 1. As you can see, it's pretty much identical to the front dash speakers. This is version 2 that I'm installing now. And again, it looks identical to the front dash speakers that we put in. It is important for me to at least comment about these rear door speakers. So Light Harmonic does not make replacement rear door speakers. And there's a reason for that. I don't know of any company, with maybe an exception of one, that makes a rear door speaker for a Tesla. And that's because they're not bolted in here. They're actually built into the door card itself. So if you were going to replace that, you would basically have to melt these plastic rivets that are kind of holding it into the door panel. Just not a very good design for aftermarket, but hey, if someone that knows how to make things, you know, wants to build a kit where you can install any speaker in the back here and have it bolt in somewhere, there's going to be a huge market for that, because no one makes a kit like that I know of. And now that all the speakers are installed, I would highly encourage you to go ahead and flatline your EQ and redo it from start, just because these are newly tuned speakers. They're going to sound slightly different than what you had previously, whether they were the factory speakers or the version 1. So go ahead and flatline this, and then pick a song that fits the genre of music that you listen to the most, and just EQ accordingly. If you need more sub, go ahead and knock that up. If you need a little bit more bass here, try listening and sliding them up and down. Sometimes it sounds better to actually go into the negative. So, you know, if you need to do that on a certain frequency, do what you got to do to make it sound good. So I would encourage you to do that. Everyone's taste is going to be different. I'll play around with mine as well. But yeah, go ahead and do that. The other trick I've shown you in other videos is I like to offset the balance a little bit. So usually what I think about is, where's your ears going to be? On your head, right here at the headrest, right? Well, because these cars, they don't have digital signal processors in here with delay effects and things like that, you can't really mess with the timing too much, but you can kind of fake it a little bit by throwing a little bit more power to the passenger side. And what that does is that just makes it just a tad bit louder on their end over here, and it tricks your ears to where, you know, your ears are going to be right next to these speakers, so it's going to hit it really, you know, right there prominent. So if you throw a little bit more power there, because of the distance between that speaker and your ear, it just kind of tricks it a little bit to make it sound a little bit more balanced. If you were really going to do that the right way, though, you would need some special digital signal processors that have delay effects, where it can cause a delay on, you know, the driver's side, to where it's timed to where it hits your ears at the exact same second, or millisecond rather. So this is the best we can do, but I would recommend you guys play around with this, whatever sounds good to you. I would much rather hear the music on the front speakers than back here somewhere. You can play around with it. It just doesn't sound very good. Again, you're going to have factory speakers in the rear doors. And the only other speakers are those rear shelf speakers if your car is wired for that. So I prefer somewhere around this area, up around here. All right, so I've played around with these speakers for a little bit and listened to them, and they do sound a little bit better than version 1. Not by a whole lot, but it does sound better. Now, would it be worth it to spend the money on upgrading from version 1 to version 2? That's going to be up to you. I like it a lot. I mean, these tweeters do sound a lot better than the factory tweeters. Version 1 didn't use these new tweeters. They still use the factory Tesla tweeters. So just based on that alone, I like version 2 better. I'm sure you would too, but the question is, should you upgrade if you've already got version 1? I don't know if I would. It's you know, personal preference. It does sound a little bit better. It's just crisper. You can hear more high end, of course. But if you have the factory speakers from your Tesla, then I would definitely upgrade to these, because it does sound fantastic. A lot better than factory. And there is a more night and day difference between the factory Tesla speakers and the version 1 speakers than there is a difference between version 1 and version 2. They are better. They're supposed to be a little bit more efficient with their power usage. They do have bigger magnets on it, so you're going to get some deeper bass response. Of course, you get the tweeters that you didn't get before. So overall, it is a better deal. It's up to you if you really want to spend the money. If you're an audiophile and you just have to have the latest and greatest, then definitely upgrade to version 2. But if not, you're fine with version 1. So thanks again for tuning in, guys. If you liked the video, let me know by hitting that thumbs up. Again, I highly encourage you to look at the old video of me installing version 1 if you want a full detailed video of how to install the speakers. But yeah, these sound really good. If you're into car audio, these speakers were made specifically for the Tesla. They have them for all models of Tesla, and they're built purposely for Tesla cars. They don't make them for Hondas and Toyotas and things like that. So I like that. It's custom tuned to the cabin of the Tesla and the specs. So I think it sounds great. And again, I'm also very curious if any of you have upgraded your rear door speakers with a custom kit. I know that there are other companies that are looking into making kits like that, and I've seen one company that does have something, but I think they were selling it as an entire kit. And if they were smart, they would sell just that rear door kit, because they'd make a ton of money. So again, if you like the video, let me know by hitting that thumbs up. And if you want to see more Tesla content, please consider subscribing because I've got a lot more coming. See you guys in the near future. Bye-bye.